Hi there, this is Jimmy with Honeymood Meditations. Nice to finally put a face to a name here. This is our very first video, and today I will give you a posture clinic. So I will explain how to sit more comfortably for longer, and I hope you get a lot from it. So the first trick to sitting comfortably is to have a cushion to sit on. You want your hips to be above your knees, okay? Ideally, your knees are both touching the floor. And if you're not able to do this, you can take a blanket or a cushion and place it under your knees to help you do that. Now, it's important to have your hips above your knees for a couple reasons. Number one is it helps blood circulation in your legs, and this will prevent your legs from falling asleep. The second is that it will actually help you sit taller and be more at ease as you're sitting. So I'm going to turn to the side here and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Now as I'm seated, you'll notice that my cushion has a slight angle to it. And then I'm also seated towards the front edge of that cushion. This helps create a natural curve in my lower spine and helps me sit more tall more easily. Okay, my hands rest wherever is most comfortable on my thighs or on my lap. The key here is that your elbows and shoulders are in one line. Now to help you sit tall, we can imagine that there's a string pulling from the top of the head upwards. Now, it's a micro adjustment in your spine as you do this. It's more so imagining it in an energetic movement than it is a physical movement. Okay, another trick is to spread open the collarbones and the chest like wings. Okay, and again, remember this is a micro adjustment. It's more so imagining that it's happening than it's a physical movement. And as you do this, there might be a lot of physical sensations that you feel through this micro adjustment. And as we're sitting tall, our shoulders are relaxed, our facial muscles are relaxed. The tongue is lightly pressed up against the top palate, and we're breathing in and out through our nostrils. And if your neck is strained, it may be because you're leaning a bit too forward. Now, if your mid-back, like in between your shoulder blades, is strained, it might be because your elbows are too far back. So remember, shoulders and elbows in one line, and you're sitting with a tall spine, but it's not too rigid. There's a little sway in your spine if you pay close attention. Now, what happens if you start experiencing pain or your legs start falling asleep? The first thing to realize is that this happens to everyone. It's completely natural and it will happen. And there's a couple tips and tricks that I can share with you. One is don't give in to the pain right away, but instead sit with it and see if it moves around. Okay, it may go away on its own. The second tip is that it's okay to move and it's okay to slightly adjust yourself. The trick is to do it slowly and mindfully. And so if I'm sitting in meditation and my leg is asleep and it's been a couple minutes since it's been asleep, it's okay. I can slowly move one of my legs and maybe that's all I need to do. Maybe I lengthen it ever so slightly. At the same time, I'm remaining focused inside, even when I'm moving. Okay, maybe I move both my feet out. Maybe I'm hugging them into my chest a little bit. And then once my legs feel a little bit better, I can slowly move back into my seated position. Okay, and remember, you can place your cushions or move your cushion a little bit to help you sit as comfortably as possible. Now, another way to sit comfortably is on your knees. And so I'll show you how to do that. So to sit on your knees, you can put a cushion underneath your sit bones. And hands can relax on your thighs or on your lap. Just remember to keep your shoulders and elbows here in one line and a tall spine. with those micro adjustments across the chest and at the crown of the head, like I had mentioned before.
Another way to meditate is laying down. And there's a couple ways that you can lay down and meditate. It's pretty straightforward just by having your legs about a little bit more than hip width apart and your arms outstretched about like a 20-degree angle, palms facing up. You can also have your palms facing towards your belly, or maybe one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest, whatever is most comfortable here. Now, to remain alert and awake, here's a couple tricks. One is to bend your knees and keep your feet hip width apart and your knees hip width apart. And if you start dozing off, you might notice one knee goes out to the side, and just very gently bring that back to where your knees and feet are hip width apart. Okay, another trick is if your legs are outstretched, you can have one arm be bent perpendicular to the ground. And if you start dozing off, that arm might fall, in which case you can just bring that arm right back up. And you can feel free to switch arms at any point in the meditation if that helps. Okay, and then another trick is to have your hands in a mudra with your thumbs touching. Okay, and in the meditation, if your thumbs aren't touching, that's a pretty good cue that you've lost your focus or you've begun dozing off. And so lightly touch your thumbs together at their tips. Another option is to take a blanket, roll it up, and place it underneath your knees. Doing this will support your lower back, having your knees propped up just ever so slightly with a blanket or a bolster.
And lastly, I'll explain how to meditate while sitting in a chair. The most important thing to do is to have your feet flat on the ground. And I'm actually towards the front edge of my chair. Let me turn to the side. Okay, so I'm seated towards the front edge of the chair. I'm using a blanket underneath. You can also use a cushion or a pillow to make it more comfortable. And as I sit towards the front of my chair, it helps give a natural arch to my lower spine, which helps me sit tall. My hands can be resting on my thighs or on my lap, whatever is most comfortable. Just remember that your shoulder and your elbow are in one line here. Another option is to place a cushion at your lower spine. And you aren't leaning back so much, you're just using that cushion to support your lower spine to sit tall and comfortable. And that concludes our posture clinic for today. If you have any questions or comments, please comment below. And nice to finally meet you. Okay, talk to you soon and enjoy your meditations.